Hey everybody, welcome to the Infinite Regression, where it regresses eternally. Stare into the void, stare, I say. See that which you do not wish to see, the date and time of your own death. That's not even that far back. Like, this right here, that's like your own death. Like, way back here, that's how long it's going to take to pay off your student loans. Like, oh my god. Anyway, so hey, yep, this we doing a thing. This has been a thing. It will be a thing on into the future. I mean, this is the very start of the thing. This is going to be a thing that we're doing. This is Riff and Craft with Rem Pemberton of the Clemson Pembertons. You know who it is. You know what this is. You know what you signed up for. You didn't sign up. There's no sign up sheet. It's just a thing that you do. When you do what you do, when you do what you do to me. If I knew how to do it to you, then you do it to me. Wait, no, that's not how that song goes. Anyway, regardless, I took a class. I took a college course in Los Beatles. So don't you go quizzing me. I would love to find one of these geodes, one of these amethystices. Anyway, let's soliloquize, because that's what we're doing. We're here to soliloquize. This is going to be soliloquy. I forgot that I had begun building a thing. I did not remember that that was a thing that was being done by me. Because it's been so freaking long since I last played the Crafting of the Minds. I mean, jeez, Melise, when did you last see me play this? When? I didn't even remember that much about the world in which I live, except that over the water that way there's an angry little man who throws cutlery at you. Anyway, he lacks some sort of cutlery goblin. Anywho's, any whatsums, yeah, cutlery goblin notwithstanding, we need to make some noise, DC. Anyway, what is it? Nightfall again? Pendleton, you told me. Was I staring at Orion's belt before I slumbered? Okay, here's some deep thoughts. Some things I've been thinking about lately. Oh, that's right. I died recently. Oh, what a stupid. Anyway, possibly died getting more sand for my housey house. Probably window reasons. Was that? Oh, those are just fish. I'm worried about fish man come throw the forky fork at me. Anyway, I don't know what all the Minecraft things are called that much. You know, I am the most boring Minecraft player of the people who like do this for the U-type tubes. Come on now. Like, have you seen more boring than this? Have you seen more like, hey, we're just gonna do regular vanilla Minecraft? The guy playing it's not going to know what the crap he's talking about more than half of the time. And it's just going to be confusing and disappointing. But don't worry, each episode is at least 3 to 5 times longer than an episode of a friggin' YouTuber who actually gets views on their videos. Anyway. And if you were watching this, like, I say this all the time, but please, for the love of God, think about your life. Is this what you wanted to do with your precious time on this earth? You're here for a limited engagement, mon frunda. Like, you gotta seriously come on, come on, pull it together. Like I don't know what else I could tell you. Like, just live, damn it, live. There's a world out there that wants you, screaming for you to be a part of it. Are you gonna let it down again? Anyway, this has been a part of my production of play that I haven't written yet because. Well, here's the thing, though. I actually have made my peace with this idea. I was going to write another play this summer. I wrote a couple of plays thus far. And I had a really good idea for one that I was thinking of writing. And the thing is, like, yeah, I don't know what I have yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, 3/4 of my drama program graduated. Like, they all graduated the same year. And I, yeah, and I did not replenish, or I was not replenished like I would have hoped to be, in terms of like students that that I know I can count on taking the class again and again and again, you know, coming back, helping me out, building that program. You know what I'm saying? Because like, of the kids who are going to be, yeah, kids who are going to be juniors this year. Yeah, as a graduating class, man, kind of a pain in the butt. Like, really, they all hate each other. It's like, there's some nonsense with this graduating class. And so, like, yeah, how many of those kids am I getting for drama? Not that many, because not that many of them are, like, not pains in the butt enough to, like, be an asset to a drama program. Anyway, so that's how that be. I know I could have built an ads by now, but I didn't feel like it. Anywho's, it's so I'm pretty sure I had a diamond pickaxe. I'm fairly certain that was the thing that I had. Now I've now lost. Diamonds seem much harder to come by in this world so far. Anyway, we shall proceed. We shall not be afraid. But yeah, like, so the piece that I made with myself about the fact that my drama class is not as replenished as I would like it to be, with like, just, I mean, it might be, who knows? I would love it if it were. I'm not saying I don't put faith in the kids who are there. Like, you know, I had another kid, you know, like, one of the kids I was excited about coming back, you know, moved. And she didn't tell me till late in the semester. I was making all these plans of like, oh, you shall reign here for another 3.5 years, you know, like, because she's really good. And, you know, I had bright hopes about her prospects, you know, and yeah, so she's gone. And like, and then another one, one of my seniors is like probably going to have to move to Tejas, like month or two into the school year. Like, it's ridiculous. Anyway, for, you know, legal reasons and whatnots, has nothing to do with what they want to do. Anyway, so yeah, their senior year. Anyway, and so like, and another kid that everybody was really excited about last year, that I gave an award to, isn't in it right now, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you need to take it every semester. Like, do it, take it again and again and again. Like, that's what you do. Once you find it and then you're good at it, like, you need to do it again. This is where you belong. Anyway, obviously this is called Ramble and Craft. That's the name of the show. So you came here to listen to me talk about the current state of my drama class. Yeah, more than anything, like, I've got a lot of anxiety about school starting up again, as all teachers have. I know, like, students will get it. They'll be like, oh, school's starting up again. I've got anxieties and whatnots. I got feelings about that. Like, am I ready to go back? Especially these kids now, because, like, COVID, man. Like, you cannot. What? I had glass? Anyway, it's a surprise to me. Anywho's, yeah, that's the thing. Let's go down here. Let's trundle down the mine and see if I have any cobbled stone or iron or anything to build things out of. So I forget what I have. Anywho's, yeah, feeling anxiety. And speaking of that, like, boy howdy, boy howsits, boy Honduruskis. I Yeah, what a great fun week we've had here. So, oh, okay, we've got enough diamonds to, like, take out some city anns. Anywho's, and we've got iron enough to, like, make things out of irons. Okay, we shall proceed. Oh, and I should make sure that I replant my birchen timbers, because, need them saplings. And where we can build back better. That's slogan's so catchy, it's bound to catch on. You know what I'm saying? People just going to say that. They're just going to be saying that. Like, hey, build back better. That's what we're going to say. It's a very memorable, happy slogan that we all get behind. The BBB. And this time we don't mean the Better Business Bureau. I mean, we like the Better Business Bureau, but this time we're going to build it. We're going to build it back. Oh, Scheiße. Scheiße. Oh, man, I don't have a sword. I don't have anything. I am not ready for pillagers right now. I don't have armor. I don't have food. Like, I got nothing. Sleep? I gotta stay down here a little bit. Okay. Follow me down. Okay. So, as I was saying, anywhere you go, I'll follow you down. Any place but those I know by heart. Yes, we all remember the great Gin Blossom song. Hey, fun fact, I've seen the Gin Blossoms in concert, and I have also met the lead singer. He's a lovely gentleman. Or actually, funner fact, like, met the lead singer, and I have also met lead guitarist. He was a fine chap as well. Just delightful people. I met two people from that band. Anyway, and because they're from my home state, and there was a time when, Tempe had a whole music scene, and it was happening. You got you like your Dead Hot Workshop. You had your replacements or refreshments. Sorry, replacements are a different band. Different band entirely. Oh yeah, I was down here when I'm remembering what happened when last I played this game. Anyway, yeah, but the Refreshments, the band that eventually, like Roger Klein, the lead singer and songwriter for that band, he of the Peacemakers, Roger Klein and the Peacemakers, great band in their own right. Fantastic representatives of Arizona. Roger Klein, actually, the Refreshments, even if you're not from Arizona, because you've heard the King of the Hill theme song, and the whole that is the Refreshments. Like, and they had a couple of solid, mid-tier hit songs. Like, I mean, the songs were great. I always felt they deserved more than they got. Maybe that's because I'm biased because I'm from Arizona and because I am known Roger Klein fan. But anyway, be that as it may, yeah, there used to be a music scene in the Arizona before we were like, you know what we should be known for instead of music? Bigotry and racism and all things terrible. And people got together and they were like, yeah, that makes sense. That's an approach that we should take. And, well, here we are. It's 2021. We're here in Arizona, just Arizonaing it up. Anyway, it is a whole thing. I shouldn't give away my location, but you don't know where I am in Arizona. This is a big state. This is a large state. Now, granted, it doesn't have a lot of highly populated areas, but there are some, and there are, if you took the entire population of the state and rammed it together, it's a crowd you wouldn't want to get lost in, because it's entirely too big. But yeah, as the states go, we're not that populous. Anyway, let's look up state populations. Let's do that. What am I watching? Esteban Colbert. That's good. Okay, state pop. I'm not even interested in making a good episode. I'm just interested in making an episode. So you're free to not watch this one. It's not getting any better. Okay. Number 1, California. Number 2, Texas. Big states. Number 3, Florida. Oh. Surpassing New York City. Okay. Number 3, New York. Or number 4, New York. Number 5, Pennsylvania. Number 6, Illinois. Number 7, Ohio. With your weird flag over here. Come on. What do you think you are? Puerto Rico? Anyway, hold up. Puerto Rico. Bum. They have a regular flag. I don't know why I was thinking Puerto Rico. Should have thought somewhere else with a pointy flag. Do we have a territory with a pointy flag? No, we don't. Anyway, regardless, let me proceed to mispronounced states. Georgia, North Carolina, Michigan, New Jersey, Virginia, Washington, and Arizona. Arizona. Anyway, what's Tennessee's flag? Okay, that seems. Has that been their flag? It seems new. Adopted in 1905, 116 years ago. Okay. Good design lasts, I guess. It's just, for some reason, I thought Tennessee would be like stars and bars. Don't ask me. Nashville's in Tennessee. It's it's not all, I don't know what adjective I'm thinking of. It's probably terrible. I'm just sitting here thinking of like, okay, if I were to generalize an entire state, anyway. Oh, look at this. Look at this business. The District of Columbia. Yeah. 50th in population. Wait. Oh, Puerto Rico. That makes even more sense. They got more people. Shoot. Anyway. But like, all right. Washington, D.C. should be a state. Like, I could hear the case. Like, it's funny because when I was a kid, I would just think about, like, how cool it would be if we added a state in my lifetime. Like, that's history, you know? And Puerto Rico could use. I'm rolling my R's because I can't. Don't. No. 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 Anyway, so Puerto Rico, Rico Suave, it's me again, this guy, here to commit the beautiful adulteries with you. Anyway, regardless. Oh, Alabama based their state flag on that band, that country band. You know the one, Alabama. Okay, don't look that I was looking at this. No, who cares? This is pretty cool. Alabama. Alabama is a country band. Oh, stars and bars, fly 'em high, sir. Yeah, you just go watch me surf the internet on this episode. This episode is just surfing the internet. They've got two freaking albums with stars and bars on them. They don't have, they're named after the state. They don't have one with the state flag on it. I thought they did, but I guess I'm thinking of stars and bars, man. Oh, like, so there's the like 25th anniversary is like, anyway, cheese, Melise. So 25th anniversary, the band isn't even like interested in the artwork. They're just like, yeah, put it out, cash that check. Who gives a crap? Or maybe they don't even have control over it at this point. This is very common, but like, for crap's sake, man, you got two stars and bars albums, but you don't have one state flag of the state that you're from. Like, I don't know. for all of its stupidity and flaws and foibles and the many, many, many things that I find wrong with my state, like, yeah, some of the stereotypes are definitely true. Um, and it is just unfortunate that they are. And you know what's funny about that is that you could be from either side of the political spectrum and you thought about stereotypes from Arizona, and that definitely exist and are definitely negative. And by me telling you that they're true, then you're like, aha, I will continue to believe what I already think. Uh, so even though they're two completely different things, depending on where you fall, mon frunde. Uh, oh, I do have Ann Torch. Okay, I think I had an excess of coal before, so this is probably fine. Um, Boop-a-doo. Anyway, so yeah, Washington D.C. should be a state. Here's why. This is the only reason that matters. Like, I mean, granted, all the other reasons pretty solid. You're not gonna catch me saying like, no, those are not good reasons. I don't believe you when you say that. Like, I don't believe that's the reason to become a state. What have you? Like, I am accepting of multiple explanations for why DC should become a state, but here's why. Like any reasonably sympathetic person should be okay with it. Now, granted, if you start thinking like, okay, if DC becomes a state, then they get electors, and if we create it as a new state, it's a new state that is most likely to go Democrat because of the large African American population that's there. You know, and as it stands, DC, yeah, like, so that's why there might be resistance to it, is just purely political reasons, which, like, as a kid, political reasons had never entered into it for me. Like, I didn't think about, like, oh, Puerto Ricans might be more Hispanic, though not 100%, I'm sure. Like, let's look at the racial makeup of Puerto Rico. Why don't we? Hi, Emily Blunt. She was on a Colbert, and I was trying to remember who the crap she was and what she's been in that I've seen. By the way, let's go through and I was also trying to be like, she's married to somebody whose work I know, and then I was like, oh, John Krasinski, Jim from the American Office. Like, where's her? Where? Okay, am I gonna have to IMDb her? Salmon fishing Yemen, Victoria, Edge of Tomorrow, Into the Woods. Okay, I've seen Into the Woods. Did not see Mary Poppins Returns. Into the Woods. Into the Woods. I mean, let's see. Emily Blunt. Oh, is the baker's wife. Okay. Because the baker was played by James Corden, whom I know. But let's all agree that Anna Kendrick is a delight. Like, you should look at this girl. She is a delight. Thank you, Anna Cook Kendrick, for being an utter delight. You know, like, I am pretty sure I would have seen none of the Pitch Perfect movies if it were not for you being delightful in them. Do we have a filmography, please? They don't have a separate filmography section, and they don't seem to. Okay, I don't like IMDb as much because it sort of jumbles everything together. Oh, Ted Lasso. I hear good things. Dune. Oh man, yeah, I feel bad. I've not read that book. I've never read it. I've read so much science fiction in my life. Like mostly Asimov. Like let's be honest. When I say science fiction, I mean like I've read so much of the Asimov, but there is so much of the Asimov to be read. And then I've also read like some Orson Scott Card and like some Heinlein. Yeah. So the and some Ray Bradbury. So like that's the extent. Now Ray Bradbury like uh isn't always sci-fi. It always has a sort of, sci-fi otherworldly feel, but it's not always like strictly within what you would call a sci-fi genre. I can't believe they remade. I'm just gonna visit websites. You're gonna watch it. You're gonna be like, he's just gonna comment on everything. Willem Dafoe. What the crap? How? Why are we caring so much about Willem Dafoe right now? Okay, here's the funny thing. Jason Sudeikis, I know who he is because he looks like one of my college roommates. Hey, Chris Hostetler. Anyway, gave myself away to one person. Anyway, potentially others, but like, who gives a crap? Yeah, why are you still making G.I. Joe movies? Didn't think anybody watched them. Is this a movie about a dung beetle? Oh no, it's a Jurassic Bark. I've not seen any of the new Jurassic World diseases or whatever. This looks romancy. I don't know who either of these gentlemen are. I don't know who they are. I have no freaking idea. None. None whatsoever. Like, I don't know this one. I don't know that one. They're both very handsome, although this one is punching a little above his weight. Little above. I'm not saying like a ton above, but like a little above. This one, he's settling a little bit. Let's look at these LGBTQ power couples, because I forgot why we came here. Liz Cheney. No. Emily Blunt. No. Into the Woods. Emily Blunt. Because she's someone that people know, right? Like, I've heard her name before, even though I don't know. She was in The Devil Wears Prada, which I have not seen. Okay. And some of the Poirot. Empire. See, I've never seen Empire, but that's 6 episodes of Empire. Devil Wears Prada. Never seen it. Yeah, I don't know. Juliette Hobbs in Lisa the Drama Queen. I may have seen that. I've only seen up to a certain point of The Simpsons. Up to a certain point, I've seen every episode. And that is, I think, true for a lot of people. Oh, Dan in real life. Okay. Oh, Ruthie Draper. Wasn't she the hog-nosed Ruthie Draper or something? Anyway, Charlie Wilson's War. I saw previews for that. So, like, Dan in real life is the only one that I've seen. Gulliver's Travels. I don't watch Hollywood adaptations of Gulliver's Travels because they don't realize that it's biting satire of, like, 17th century British politics. 17th, 18th, my brain is not working in terms of time right now, so don't quote me on which century of politics. It's when Jonathan Swift was alive, and I'm not going down the rabbit hole of like Wikipediaing Jonathan Swift, finding out about his contemporaries, and then we're off and running talking about literature for the next 2 hours. Anyway, how to fish in the Yemen's, in salmon fishing in the Yemen. Yemen, of course, a place of terrible conditions for humans. Romeo and Juliet, I've heard of this. It seems freaking awful. Miss Piggy's receptionist. There you go. That's climbing the ladder. Okay, Edge of Tomorrow. I've never seen it. Into the Woods. Saw it, but like, she's in a cast with so many great people. I mean, Anna Kendrick, to name a few, who just shines on the freaking, you know, video camera stage. Anyway, Girl on the Train, based on the popular book I did not see. Animal Crackers. What? I don't even know what that is. Sherlock Gnomes. Doing more gnome movies? What? Mary Poppins Returns. Quiet Place 2. And then the movie that she is promoting, but she's filmed others apparently, probably. Anyway, regardless, this has been freaking enlightening. So glad we took the time to figure out who the frick Emily Blunt is. No, we went there because we were going to Wikipedia something else. Oh, we were going to Wikipedia list of places by state. Oh, that we were going to look at the ethnic makeup of Puerto Rico. 75.8% white in Puerto Rico? I did not think that that was the way that that would be at all. Like 12.4% black, 11.1% multiracial other. What? That is very different than. Okay. Because Jennifer Aiden Gonzalez Colon, like that's not a white girl name. And you could convince me that this woman is just white. I could see how that could happen, but like, okay, this guy, Pedro Rafael Pierluisi Urrutia, he does not look that white. What? Okay. Yeah, Wanda Vasquez Garced. She looks super white. Cesar Miranda. Like, what? Apparently, I know nothing about Puerto Rico, but definitely wanted it to be a state when I was a kid. Like, interesting. Juan Ponce de Leon. So, like, all right. There's got frogs there. That's good to know. Oh, there's got big OGs O's. That's a big OGs. Jeez. Actually, okay. I was very surprised when I went to see my older brother ordained, because like I did not come up in Catholicism at all. I'm telling you, if you're Catholic, like, look, anything that you're raised with as a kid, you will accept as normal until you realize that you're the weird one. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it is with everything. With everything. Like, you know, you could be the only family on the block who, like, you know, calls them fluffies instead of farts. And then the first time you hear someone refer to it as a fart, you're like, well, that's freaking weird. You know, even though, like, to everyone else, it's like, no, it's called a fart. It's not called a fluffy. Get over yourself. Anyway, but, like, yeah, so the first time that I went into the cathedral in Gallup, New Mexico, and for my brother's ordination. He was ordained a Catholic priest himself. Anyway, big freaking Jesus, like huge, so much larger than life. I mean, look at how big Jesus is. Look at how big these dudes are. These dudes are not midgets. This dude is like 12 feet tall, you know? But like they make it super big to be like, hey, everybody see this. Like know that this is the deal. Like this right here, this is what it is, you know? And like, all right, so you about your oh, they got their in own political parties. It'd be interesting if they become a state and then like because that looks to be like fairly even. Was that 40? Yeah. Yeah, this is a fairly even split right there. So like, you know, Puerto Rico, like, because red and blue, I'm guessing that like the right left, like, look, here's the stupid thing that people get into. Like, I was talking about this with my wife. Like, what is happening with the political right in America right now is stupid and it needs to stop. Like, it really does. Like, we really, like, holy crap. Because, look, here's the thing. I have voted for Republicans in my life, and I've voted for Democrats. And, like, I have spoken with Republicans that I agree with on certain things. I've spoken with Democrats that I disagree with on certain things. Like, and recently, too, as a matter of fact. So, yeah, like, it is, it's an interesting experience, but, yeah, fact is, where the disagreement with Republicans and Democrats right now is like where the, you know, uh, conceptual space within which the disagreement takes place is absolutely insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, because even if you take into account, like, okay, classic Republican view of like, oh, these tax and spend liberals, like, when will they ever learn? I'm just gonna learn more about Puerto Ricans. Like, these are Puerto Rican people? I mean, this looks like three girls I went to college with. Like, definitely this one and definitely that one. Like, I know people who at least used to look like that 20 years ago. Like, 15 years ago or something. It's not quite that far away. Okay. These people up here in the front row look more Hispanic. She doesn't so much, except for she's standing next to Hispanic people. So that's kind of, it's just surprising to me that so many Puerto Ricans identify as white, because I've always thought of Puerto Ricans as Hispanic. Like, I don't know. That I don't know why that is. Puerto Ricans who are U.S. citizens by birth. How many? How many people? How many Americans in the states know this? It shouldn't have taken a hurricane to show the truth. Oh, wait a minute. They break this down by party? Oh no, they didn't. They didn't. It's broken down by date. I'm like, what? Holy smokes. Good. Oh boy. Yeah. Like, I have always known that they were citizens by birth, that it's like a curious status. Anyway, I never finished making my point about DC though. Like, Puerto Rico, they've got enough people. And I mean, I'm sorry that we didn't like overthrow the government of Puerto Rico the same way that we did with Hawaii, and then just grab it and make it ours all of a sudden. Like, I mean, you look at Hawaii, there are people who are still very bitter about how they became a state in Hawaii. Um, and if it weren't so like generally chill there, that we might see more action on that front, on like a separatist movement for Hawaiians. That would actually make sense. That wouldn't be like some bucktoothy, backward, ridiculous, the South will rise again sort of nonsense. Um, anyway, yeah. So, Puerto Rico, yeah, like eventually we understood that they're like they are Americans, and yet they do not receive all of the benefits of being citizens in the same way that people in the continental United States do. You know, that's just an unfortunate fact. But yeah, Puerto Rico, that's one thing. This is one thing. And you could say that, like, the reason that they have not become a state is because they don't have the same, like, strategic and, um, uh, like, touristy type of appeal for us to care that much. Like, if Puerto Rico was more like Hawaii in terms of, like, tourism, then heck yeah, we would want it for a state. Like, it, yeah. So they have to make a case in terms of their deserving it. And in cases of them deserving it, like, we just have not seen, we've just been like, no, I don't know about that, man. It's like, see, they have house parties and people be rubbing up on each other in Puerto Rico just like America. I swear to God, she looks like one of my students. Well, former student, anyway. He looks like uh freaking what's his face from Saturday Night Live in makeup. Who am I thinking of? Keenan Thompson. Anyway, yeah, let's definitely know that. Okay, let's go to these power couples. Let's find a Matt Bomer and Simon Halls. I've never heard of either of them. I'm not a celeb culture guy, so it's kind of a problem. Uh, oh, that's the same guys. They've got kids. Good for them. Yeah, definitely. All right, you do you. Tig Notaro. I love Tig Notaro. I don't know her wife for anything. So, I'm sorry. I apologize, but like, man, Tig Notaro did the stand-up set. It was played on an episode of This American Life. That was like after her mom died, and then she got this terrible stomach infection and almost died, and then she found out that she had breast cancer, and like she went and did this stand-up set and was like, I have cancer, and like just the audience was like, oh my God, we don't know how to feel. And she guided them through how to feel about it, about some, in like this hilarious, humorous way. But like, we often are like, oh my God, you have cancer. I don't know how to, like, so great, Tig Notaro. And her web series, Under a Rock with Tig Notaro, because she doesn't know famous people at all. This is somewhat ironic because I don't know very many famous people, but I know Tig because I'm a bit of a comedy nerd, and like, yeah, freaking Tig Notaro she's a great comedian. She's got a special on Netflix. She had her own show for a while called Tig. She's on Star Trek right now. She's like killing it right now. Anyway, yeah, love that Tig Notaro. She just seems delightful. Anyway, um, Lance Bass and Michael Turkin. I don't know. I don't know. Like, if you're trying to convince me that both of these gentlemen are gay, accepted, certainly. But, like, I don't know who they are. He looks doped up, but it's a pretty dope suit. What is this CS man? I don't know. Anyway, I'm more interested in his like comic book type shirt. Okay, Cynthia Nixon and Cynthia Nixon. Like, are they both Cynthia Nixon? I don't know who that is. Cynthia Nixon. Sorry. I mean, look, I am an LGBTQ supporter. Greg Berlanti and Robbie Rogers. I don't know either of them. They're handsome gentlemen, to say the least. Dustin Lance Black and Tom Daly. I don't know either of them. He has a very long face, but he cuts a fine figure. Jonathan Bennett and James Vaughn. I don't know who these people are. I should never have done this. I thought it might be slightly funny that I could like Tig Notaro under a rock this, but like it makes me feel bad because apparently they're like LGBTQ power couples that I should know about. Like I don't know any of them. Heather Matarazzo, I'm gonna say it looks like an Italian name, and Heather Turman. I don't know them. I don't know them at all. Kevin McHale. Kevin McHale. Kevin McHale. That Austin P. McKenzie. Hold up. Wait, who is the McHale basketball player? Wasn't it? Yeah, Kevin McHale. That's weird. I know that Kevin McHale. I was like, it can't be the same name because that okay, all right. Maria Bello. I think she's a singer. I don't know for sure. And Dominique Crenn. Good for them. Dennis O'Hare and Hugo Redwood. They look like they've been together for a while. That's lovely. But like I don't know them. Jim Parsons. Okay, like there's enough cultural seepage cuz my in-laws. Okay, so my in-laws do not understand things that I'm interested in. Comic books and whatnot. Like I swear to God, here's actual factual fact. So my mother-in-law struggles to buy me presents for Christmas, which is, that's reasonable. It My wife is the only person on this planet who can shop for me because like she gets what I'm into, even if she doesn't like appreciate it, and she definitely doesn't. Like she understands what I'm into. Um and understands that I'm into it and gives me space to be into it. She's the lovely wife who is great like that. But like my mother-in-law does not get it at all. But like she was very excited when they found the common ground. Cause like, okay, so story about my mother-in-law. Like she on Christmas, she told me, she's like, oh, we were at Costco. There was this book, the Encyclopedia of Marvel Comics, and we thought about getting it for you, but we didn't know if we should or not because we didn't know if that's the ones that you're into. And then she said this. She's like, because you're so choosy with your with your cartoon men. And I'm like, oh boy. That's like, and she was not trying to, she was being sweet and honest. She was not trying to be like, oh, you with your little cartoon man obsession. Like, I'm trying to do something nice because my daughter, like, relented to be with you. Like, no, my mother in law is a lovely person. Um, but yeah, so when Big Bang Theory first came out, they were like, "You guys need to watch this so that we can have something to talk about." Because they're nerds, they're into nerdy stuff, and you know what? For a while, like it was enough that they would talk about cultural artifacts that I care about, that I could actually watch it a little bit. But after a while, I could not. I do not know who this is, and yeah. Anyway, that's third of them. Adair Curtis and Jason Bolden. Good for them. Not always like the funny thing is, like, it seems like there's not as many gay men or like out gay men in the African American community. I could be wrong, but there are cultures that have a cultural, like, I lived in Cambodia for a long time and they have kind of a, like, it's weird because they're somehow more accepting of transgendered people than they are of gay men, you know? Which is weird because, like, Southeast Asia, they're like, oh, they have, lady boys over there, which is not the best term. But, like, the people ask that. I've had people ask, like, oh, you lived in Cambodia. Did you ever see any, like, it'd be like, yeah, I did, but was never like, you know, talking with them, like not my scene as much. Yeah, so there, but I remember in Cambodia, they would talk about gay guys. Like, there was a guy that I knew that I was friends with in Cambodia who did not, uh, come out until he left the country. And I think that really says something. Anyway, David Hyde Pierce and Brian Hargrove. Okay, I don't know Brian Hargrove at all. He looks like Larry Bird who got punched in the face, which is unfortunate because I think David Hyde Pierce, well, I mean, he's thinning a bit, but I just thought he was kind of a handsome gentleman when he was on Frasier, and might be again. I don't know. They're talking about rebooting Frasier. I heard that. He looks like freaking a differently nosed Stephen Fry. Anyway, who is also gay, by the way. I know who Stephen Fry is. Nate Berkus and Jeremiah Brent. Avengers Endgame. Is one of them an Avenger? I don't know. I've seen the Avengers movies and I have no idea. Oh, I I don't know. Is it the Burkus? I'll be upset. Let's see. He was in The Help. Come on. He's got 2 credits as actor. Okay, so it's not. How much of a power couple? It's not the Burkus. It's got to be the Brent. Or maybe they just know people? In the 1 credit, the Ode. Okay. You can't hold me accountable for that. He does not have Nate and Jeremiah Save My House. Wait, wait. Oh, they're Nate and Jeremiah. Awesome. I don't know that show at all. Barry Manilow. I totally know Barry Manilow. I do not know Gary Keefe at all. Anyway, Jodie Foster. You know what's funny is I literally just found out about this one, and I love Jodie Foster. I think she's great. But yeah, did not know that Jodie Foster was gay until recently. Samira Wiley and Lauren Morelli. They're a cute couple. Like, you know, don't know anything about them. Beanie Feldstein and Bonnie Chance Roberts. I don't know them. B.D. Wong and Richard Schnorr? Or Rickert? I don't know them. Good for them. Wow. You barely made the top half. 44 of 90. Ellen and Portia de Rossi. Like, okay. I cannot stand Ellen. I do not like her at all. Portia de Rossi, like, she's in Arrested Development, which is one of my all-time favorite shows. And she was great in it. She was so great in that show. Anyway, Ricky Martin and Juan Yosef. Okay, wait. I couldn't tell. This one has to be Ricky Martin. Or maybe they have them listed, but I don't know. I don't know that I know what Ricky Martin looks like. I'm probably wrong. Good for them. Let's see. Sarah Paulson and Hannah Taylor. Sarah Paulson, I know from something. We're going to find out together. Sarah Paulson. Ratchet. What was she in that I've seen? Glass. I actually didn't see that, but I need to. Desperate Housewives. Just go with Grey's Anatomy. Boop-a-doo, Cupid. Whose line is it anyway? There we go. That's what I've seen. Studio 60. No, Deadwood Diggers. Swimmers, the DA. Boy, we're getting into it. Jack and Jill, American Gothic show. Oh, it's that episode of Law and Order. Maggie Connor. Just kidding. I've never seen a single episode of Law and Order. I don't know why Sarah Paulson, the name seems familiar, because I have not seen any of these things. I mean, I've seen Family Guy, but I don't know, like, who she is in it. It looks like she's not in that many episodes. So, like, that, aside from that, Desperate Housewives I've heard of, I've seen, same with Grey's Anatomy. Whose line is it anyway? Like, that's a short. What's a Whose Line short? I didn't even know. Anyway, sorry, Sarah Paulson. Holland Taylor. Interesting. There's a age gap there. I didn't know that was a thing that you see that much. Oh, RuPaul. For real. Like, I totally know RuPaul. I used to dance to RuPaul in high school. Like, if he knew back then that a bunch of, like, straight-laced, super religious dudes in a small town in Arizona were, like, making up dances to Supermodel that we were doing together, and none of us are gay. Like, none of us weren't then, aren't now. Like, certainly we would have come out by now. But yeah, like, if I ever meet RuPaul, I'll be like, hey, bunch of straight-laced, super religious guys at a small town in Arizona were, like, coming up with synchronized dances to Supermodel in the freaking mid to late 90s. Anyway, Billy Porter, he's that one that wear the dress. Yeah, there you go. See, I heard about it because everybody was talking about it, but I don't know anything about Billy Porter. Kiersey Clemens and Ebony De La Haye. They both have very pretty eyes. Good for them. Oh, Neil Patrick Harris. I definitely know Neil Patrick Harris. from Broadway. He's been on Broadway. I told you, we're just surfing the internet. This is not even Riff and Craft anymore. But that's cute. And they're kids. Anyway, yeah, Neil Patrick Harris. Uh, the funny thing is, I see Neil Patrick Harris and I'm like, I like him. But you know what most people like him from is How I Met Your Mother, which is a show that I hate with a burning hatred of a million suns. I'm thinking of him as like, hosting the Tonys and like, being on the Great Birdway, and like I watched Doogie Howser when I was a kid, like so I have a different in with him that I like other than How I Met Your Mother. Jason Landau and Cheyenne Jackson. Is that Martin's kid? Are we talking Martin's kid? Did you know he has fraternal twins? I think they would say. See full bio. Spouse, trivia. Yeah, I think they would say, like, if he's Martin Landau's kid. Doesn't look like Martin Landau, so I can't see it, but you never know. You never know. Anyway, Sean Hayes and Scott Eisnogel. Sean Hayes. Why have I heard of Sean Hayes? Oh, duh. I know who Sean Hayes is. He just doesn't look like he used to. Yeah, duh, Sean Hayes. Oh, Lily Tomlin and Jane Wagner. Okay. You get vintage enough, apparently. And I'm like, well, of course. I love Lily Tomlin. She's very funny. Very funny. George Takei. I met George Takei, who's a lovely man. And yeah, he came to film in the library. I was working in the library right after graduating from college. I was still working in the college library. As a staff librarian, not as like, a loser with no job because I had a degree in communication. No, I had a degree in communication, but I also like had an actual decently paying position with the university in the library. So I was like, it was okay that I majored in communication because I was able to roll my student job into an actual job. Because otherwise it would have been a complete waste of time and money. But anyway, people would come into the library to film Walter Cronkite. I met him that way. George Takei came in for a documentary on the Japanese internment camps, and he was standing on the archway right outside the ASU architecture building, and I walked up to him and was like, "Excuse me, Mr. Takei." And he's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "I am a huge fan. Loved you, of course, in all the Star Type Treks. Know about the work that you're doing with the internment camps. Thinks it's a lovely thing to do." "Oh, thank you." He was talking to people. He had like a bunch of, officials, like people for the documentary and whatnot, and like whatever assistants and, representatives from the university and whatnot around him, like official people who were talking. And I just came up as, fan / guy who works in the library. It was like, "Hey, Mr. Takei," and he took a moment and spoke with me and was perfectly lovely. So, yeah, I like that, George Takei. Anyway, yep, live long and prosper. You gotta do it. Jane Lynch. I don't like Jane Lynch. She's so freaking smug. Like, somehow, the short-haired blonde lesbians of Hollywood. So we're talking your Ellens, your Jane Lynch's, your Edie Falco's. Like, I don't like them. I don't like the short-haired blonde. Portia de Rossi, not short hair. Like, anyway, like Jane Lynch, there's a certain smugness that just bothers me. Andrew Reynolds, oh my God, love him so much. Book of Mormon the musical, yes, 1,000 times yes, absolutely. know who he is. He's been in a bunch of things. Wanda Sykes. I love Wanda Sykes, of course. Absolutely. Very funny woman. Good for her. Um, anyway, Elton John and David Furnish. Yeah, there you go. Elton John's great. It's funny to see an older picture of him with normal glasses. Like, that's not what you're used to seeing. Jesse Tyler Ferguson and Justin Makita. Do I know this person? Ice Age, Modern Family. Okay. So I haven't seen Modern Family, but I know that it's a show that other normal people have seen. Robin Roberts and Amber Lagan. Oh, Robin Roberts. She's boo 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 boo. Yes, go internet, go. Faster, faster, I say, you dingus. Oh, Charles Mingus. Okay. Robin Roberts. Yeah, of course the Ninjago movie. No, Good Morning America. Of course. I was trying to remember the show that I'm like, she's on that thing that we know her from. Anyway, duh. Uh I recognize the face. I did not always. Hey, did I play the theme song yet? I don't know if I did. Let's go back to Minecraft and play the theme song.
This has always been the theme song. This has always been the theme.
It has.
This has always been the theme song. This has always been the theme.
Pacha. Yeah, I totally ruined it. Totally ruined it, people. Anyway, this is Riff and Craft. I'm your host, Rem Pemberton of the Clemson Pembertons. I do actually have a couple of things to talk about, and then I need to book it back on up to bed, which we have a bed now, which is one of the things I need to talk about. So, like, the summer is waning, and it's always sad when summer wanes and goes away. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, hey, you stupid teacher. Like, hey, how's about you stop complaining because you get your summers off? Like, nobody else gets paid to not work for the summers. And here's the funny thing about that most people don't know, and that most teachers don't think about because they don't think about their pay that much, except for that it's, really not enough. But like, you're not a penny pincher. You don't get into it for the money. So you're not like nickel and diming the district to be like, oh, give me every last red cent I own. Like, I've been handed checks by the school district before that I did not even open until I was putting them in at the bank, like, so that's, teachers just do not know it for the money. Anyway, but like, we don't get paid for the summer. We do not. Every teacher in every district, like the entire nation over, we know that it's a thing where it's like, we get paid for 10 months. That is our contract. So the 2 months of summer that are off, we get those off. And like, you could give me the whole like, oh, you get a Christmas break and you get a spring break, the two other major breaks that we get. But like, yeah, if you take the vacation that your average American employee gets, we get the same, not excess of, but the same as. So yeah. Oh, just lie down for a second. So really, like it's not a magical thing where like, oh, you get your summers off and you get to get paid for them. No, we don't. Like we don't get paid for the summers. We never have, and way things are going, never will. Uh, and I guess you could hear the reasoning that like, why would you pay someone when they're not working? Aha! Oh, great argument. I hear that. Like, why would you pay someone when they're not working? Sounds like welfare. Sounds like un-American. Okay, except for how's about we are working? Like, every summer, my wife has a week long conference and she's in classes like a regular work day every dang day, you know, and she does that thing every single year. This summer, I have been expected to do this whole, teaching reading program that we know is not going to be applicable at the high school level because we have talked about it and we've been like, yeah, this doesn't really apply to what we do. And they're like, yeah, but we needed this grant, so you're going to have to do it even though it doesn't apply to you. Like, we're checking boxes so the government will give us money, is where the school is coming from, which I understand. But like, it's a pain in the neck for me, uh, and it really is. Like, it's really a total pain in the neck. This stupid program that I have to do, extra stuff that I'm doing over the summer, a time when I'm not being compensated for regular teacherly duties. Also, guess what? Like, I've written plays over the summer. I've written plays over breaks. I have um like lesson planned and homeworked, and like every break that I have, my god, like I'm working every single break that I get, including the ones that are the ones which would match up with any freaking American who gets time off, paid time off. you know like they totally 100% match up with what y'all's get. Oh god, they're back. I've got to run. Okay, wait, no, I have an iron sword. I can kill some fools. I can take some fools on. Got him. Cool. It didn't really drop anything for me, but got him. Got him. They didn't give me anything. Man, that stinks. That's a horse up there. Okay. There might be something in here. I don't know. Probably shouldn't go seeking too hard. There's a spider in there, but that's not a pillager. Anyway. Okay, moving onwards and upwards. Yeah, teacher stuff. Yeah. Wife has conferences. I'll be working on stuff. I have worked on stuff for school, for my classroom and whatnot. My wife has worked on stuff for her stuff. Like, I mean, granted, she's CTE, so she gets paid for some of the things that she's done over the summer. CTE is funded differently, which maybe we all ought to go that way. But yeah, the fact is, uh, it is a hard enough time out there. And people will be putting on teachers a lot lately and acting like we're so selfish and so greedy and whatnot. And it's funny, like, I didn't stop my sister-in-law from saying it at the time. My sister-in-law works in the medical profession, and she was like, yeah, I thought we should have opened schools. These teachers, like, come on, man. You're a teacher. Like, you signed up. You're a public servant. It's a public servant job. And it's like, okay, I hear that. I hear that. You're right. You're right. Like, it is public service. It's a public servant job. You are not wrong about that. And so, the fact that, like, the vast majority of the people who got COVID in our school district were teachers and administrators and employees of the school who are adults, you know. Yeah. So, that's what we're worried about. And she's like, well, but I went to work every freaking day, and I'm around sick people all day. So, why not you? And it's like, okay, here's the thing. You are compensated as a medical professional for being around sick people all day. You are receiving medical personnel compensation. We are receiving teacher compensation, and like, are teachers around sick people a lot? Yeah, you bet your sweet bippy. Like, we're around sick people all the time. Kids get every little thing and it gets passed around school like you can't believe. I remember a couple of years ago when, like, everybody in schools had staph infection. Like, it was a total thing. It was a whole thing that was very concerning and worrying, that people had concerns and worries about, and legitimate concerns and worries. Oh, why do I have oak and timbers? Anyway, regardless. Words and such nuts. Oh, that's in there. Yeah, okay. Derp, herpa derp. So, yeah. And when you are a medical professional, first of all, you're getting basically hazard pay. I mean, they don't call it hazard pay, but everybody knows. Like, why you think people want their kids to be in the medical profession? Like, why? Why put kids in medical profession? Oh, could it be because it's a very lucrative field? Yeah, that's exactly why. Like, everybody knows that's exactly why. It's not a secret to anybody that, you want your kids to be in the medical profession because it's a lucrative field. Like, everybody knows it. Teaching, not a lucrative field. Why not? Well, because they don't value our skills that way. Like, they don't. And it's unfortunate that they don't. And you can make arguments that, like, no, maybe they shouldn't. And, disparage my profession because people do all the time. But, like, for real, though, you just have to see that people do not value teaching the same way that they value healthcare professionals. When it comes to things like putting yourself on the line, because you don't know where these kids are coming from, you don't know where these kids have been. And, like, we have a lot of kids who are not that careful. And also, we are surrounded by reservation. And the reservations were especially hard hit by COVID. And like, I know kids on the reservation whose parents died. I know kids on the reservation whose siblings died. It's like rough time for people. Not happy fun times for a lot of people. So yeah, it's a rough situation. And it is not the same as going into a hospital where they try to keep everything sterilized all the time. You know, like the school did try to make some efforts to making things sterilized, but you would not believe how hard I had to fight to make it so that they couldn't hold church in my classroom. Like, first of all, why are you holding church? It is as non-essential as a thing as I could think of. Because, like, the greatest evidence for having a church is in the Bible when Jesus is like, hey, when some of you, or not even Jesus, it's when Paul is like, when some of yous get together, that's church, you know, and Jesus will be there with you. But he didn't say, like, make big old buildings and, like, this has to happen on a regular basis. You better be there every week. And you better give freaking money to the organization so that we can continue to provide the service of being the place where we meet every week. You know, like, you just meet at Dave's house and Jesus would have been fine with it. Like, Jesus is cool with Dave. You don't need to have church. Because here's the problem for y'all. I've read the freaking Bible. Most of y'all haven't. And so I know what it says. I know what is in there. I've read the Bible multiple times. And I can tell you that the idea of the kind of church that we have in the United States, especially this friggin' mega church from out of town that is like trying to open a new location in our town, like they don't freaking, they're not necessary. They're not necessary. Like, we got guys named Dave over here, and we don't have that many people, but we have a suspicious number of churches, and it's like, y'all aren't essential. I mean, like, if religion is essential to you, then religion is essential to you, but ain't the friggin' building and the organizational structure that allows there to continue to be a building. Like, Jesus didn't say anything about, like, building funds and stuff. Like, he didn't, like, this is not a part of it. And I only know that because I've actually read the freaking sacred texts of the religion that y'all proclaim to be a part of. Anyway, regardless, like, church, so inessential. And, like, people were bringing their kids into my classroom, people I did not know, people whose kids I do not teach, bringing their kids of unknown cleanliness and, you know, belief in the effectiveness of vaccines and friggin' all of that junk. And I had to fight tooth and nail. First of all, we told them you need to stop having, because they weren't just having church, they were having the kids. They were having the nursery school or whatever, the young kids in our classrooms. You know, that's what they were having. And it's like, I'm sorry, of all the parts of church that I don't want to have in my classroom, it's the part with young kids who are more prone to, like, getting diseases to begin with, because I've had young kids who caught everything. My wife missed her own first day of school in this district because she had to stay home because our son got pink eye, and then we all got pink eye, and it was terrible. Like, oh my God. Or no, that wasn't even, no, the pink eye was later. The pink eye was, yeah, anyway, this was a different time. Anyway, that was a crap year for us. We did not have the best 2015. Anyway, but yeah, kids get everything. And our kids are relatively hygienic. Like, we bathe them frequently and own soap and make them use it and stuff. You know, like, believe in regular hygiene and have running water and whatnot, like a regular normal American family. Um, and yet we are not able to prevent our children from catching every little thing. And so how insane is it that I had to fight at all to be like, don't, you guys should not be allowed to have random kids in my classroom. And they were like, but why not? Well, they weren't like, why not? That's the crappy thing, is that they knew why not. That's what made me upset, is they knew why not. Um but like they told us that they weren't going to, and then we kept finding like trash left in there. Like we come in on Monday and there's still stuff from Sunday in our trash cans because they didn't clean out the trash cans, and we're like, y'all left a bunch of like little teeny tiny cups full of snackums and freaking like crayon drawings in our garbage. We know you've been here. Like, and they'd be like, no, we're not supposed to. And it's like, well, you did. Well, you did though. And like, we had to document it. And eventually, like, we were calling up the pastor, like, mano a mano, just to be like, my colleague, myself, both of whom are not religious people at all. Like, we called up the freaking minister to be like, hey, bro Seth, we don't appreciate that you guys are still in here and putting us at unnecessary risk that we didn't sign up for, because we don't even belong to your stupid church. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, that sounds terrible. We're sorry about that. And I'm like, no, it's got to be fixed. We will not put up with this. Like, and oh my God, when we found out that the person teaching the freaking kids class for that church was one of our other colleagues on campus who could have just as well held it in their classroom, that felt like such a betrayal. It was like, no. Like, that's not how we do. You don't do other people like that. Like, if you are not down with having these kids in your own classroom, don't bring them into mine. Like, that is not kosher. That is not cool. That is not good. I don't like it, and I don't like you thinking that it's okay. Man. Swear to God. But yeah, we had to fight for that. It was stupid. But we won. As we should have. I mean, we shouldn't have had to fight for it. That's stupid, And so, like, hey, family member in the medical profession, like, yeah, you didn't have to fight for basic sanitary conditions in your place of work. You didn't. Like, you didn't have to, like, make multiple phone calls and send multiple emails and follow up and like make sure and like kind of vaguely threaten people with lawsuits and whatnots if they don't provide you basic sanitation. And I get it. Like, there was a whole run on PPE earlier on in the pandemic, and that was the whole thing, and that sucked. I'm talking about, like, you're throwing at me that, like, your day-to-day conditions were essentially the same as what mine would have been if I were going to work every day like normal during during the more terrifying parts of the pandemic. And you know what? Like, I'm sorry. First of all, I'm not being compensated to do your level of dealing with germs. That's part of your compensation, is the understanding that you're dealing with sick people. Um, Part of it is that we very much value your service, which is why we pay you as we do. And the other part is we recognize that it's inherently dangerous. But also, like, we have mitigated that danger in a number of ways by over the years making many changes to your profession to make it safer to do that. Have we made the same changes for teachers? No. No, we have not. Like, we did not, have not. It's we just it didn't happen. It did not happen. And we got put into a situation where it was like, hey, do the hybrid learning, and we were like, cool, what's that? And they were like, figure it out. You're creative, you know? And so, like, yeah, that is also, like, yes, I get that, like, the entire medical profession had to figure out new ways of doing things, but, like, not you personally, not you specifically yourself coming up with new ways of doing things, because, like, every single teacher was on their own. The band teacher having to figure out how to do band over the internet with, like, lag and stuff, you know and half of your band kids don't even have access to the internet. Like, okay, how do you have band then? How do you grade these kids? How do you teach them anything? You know what I'm saying? And that's a different problem than you have with, like, English or drama. For drama is slightly similar in some ways, but not in a lot of ways. And so, like, there are all of these things that are such unique problems for education during the pandemic. And, like, that were not addressed then, in the time in which, a sister-in-law believed that schools should have been open. Like, we'd not even begun to address a lot of the problems that there are. And, yeah, not only do we not begin to address them then, in many ways, we never addressed them, and there were changes that were made. There were mandates that we had in place for certain things, but also there were a lot of things where we were on our own, very much so, and you could feel like that's a knock on administration. It's not. I looked at their job and was like, no, thank you, sir. Like, I do not want to do what you are doing right now. Like, not at all. I wouldn't trade jobs with you for any amount of time, for any amount of money. Like, you are having a terrible time right now, school administrator. Because, like, imagine just parents yelling at you for the exact opposite reason, accusing you of doing the exact different things. Either only neither of them are actually right. Like, that's the kind of thing that school administrators are having to deal with on the regular, like, just everyday business. So yeah, did not envy their position at all, and did not think like, oh, these guys are just passing the buck. Nope, I saw how hard it was. Sorry, I have a dry throat right now. I should get water, but I keep talking and keep thinking I'll be done with this episode soon. But yeah, quite frankly, like, yeah, I look at the way that things were handled, and, like, it was not good for teachers, and it put us in needless harm. And I dare say that medical professionals would not have worked under the same conditions. And I know that, like, me saying, oh, you don't know where students are coming from, they could be like, well, you don't know where patients are coming from. Like, yeah, that's true. But also, you are working in a constantly sterilized environment, sterilized air. We don't have sterile air. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't. As a school, we got like terrible air systems for like the 1920s, and so many schools are in that position. Like, we don't have sterile air in the school. You talk about like someone farts in the gym, I smell it in my classroom, and my classroom's not even connected to the gym. Like, but air probably is. So yeah, it's anyway. This is a whole thing. Like, there are many reasons why the whole, like, but medical professionals went to work, therefore teachers should have gone to work. It's like, nah. But in the medical profession, they were kind of, like, first of all, they have a few things in place for, like, treating highly infectious diseases. Like, how do you dress for it? What special protocols do you have to take? Like, hospitals have this because sometimes people come in and they have highly infectious diseases, and so you gotta handle it. That's literally your job. That's what they pay you the big bucks for. They don't pay me the big bucks at all, number one. And number two, like, they don't have plans in place for me to teach during a pandemic. They don't. They didn't then. They don't now. They just, like, be creative, like that. It's, uh, I swear to God, like, that is what it is. And so, like, if doctors and nurses were put into the type of, like, conditions that we were put into, like lack of preparation, having to figure everything out on the fly. And look, I know that you're like, oh, we had to figure some things out on the fly. I know it felt that way because hospitals are very, very structured environments. Like, there's a lot of structure to a hospital because there has to be. Because, like, this is how we handle sickness and sick people. I get it. I understand it. But yeah, like schools, we don't have these structures in place. Anything that you don't have a structure in place for, like, and in a school, are you kidding me? Like, any moment that you don't know what you're doing in school as a teacher or administrator, like, that is deadly. Like, the students are going to murder you. Like, and I don't mean actually murder. I mean, they're going to run roughshod over you. It's going to be terrible. There will be no education had that day, at all. Like, the minute they get a moment of like, oh, we don't have anything to do right now. Yeah. And so, like, having to figure out how to keep that going in the middle of a pandemic, like, good luck, sir. Oh, the best of luck on all of your future endeavors. Anyway, so it is different. Like, look, I do not denigrate at all. I don't wish to denigrate. I do not want to put down at all the many, many very important contributions made by our medical professionals during this pandemic. I mean, I swear to God, medical professionals making it happen in ways that, like, oftentimes medical professionals were, the only trustworthy people around for some of the things we were having to deal with. Coming out of leaders' mouths and whatnot, misinformation and such not. Yeah, like, medical professionals, and not just Fauci, but like so many medical professionals, so very, very vital to our public health. And in a public health crisis, like a real life, absolutely no questions about it, this is what it is, crisis. So yeah, like I don't wish to speak down to members of my family. I don't want to speak ill of members of my family who are in the medical profession, but I'm just telling you, though, I'm telling you, it is not the same. It is not a straight A to A comparison. It just isn't. With very different lines of work, very different pay for the different work we do. And it's not all about pay. I'm just saying, like, think about why you get paid what you get paid. You know? Like, I'm not saying that I deserve doctor pay for what I do. Like, I don't have a doctorate degree. I don't have a master's degree. So I deserve nurse pay. You know what I'm saying? God. Ain't no way teachers get to earn nurse pay. Anyway, the fact is, people, it was a rough year last year, and so looking at another school year, and there so many unanswered questions and so many things that I'm like, I don't know how it's gonna go. I do not know how this is gonna go, and so yeah. Oh God, I've been recording a long time, and I need to not be recording for as long as I've been recording. This is stupid. We got to wrap this up. So let me just tell you what happened this week. Oh God, I can't believe I got onto that tangent based off of, like, the idea that I wanted to put forward is that my wife and I have been doing a lot of work on our house, even though it is summertime, because, like, that's when we finally have a moment. If teachers got paid, like, if they just paid us overtime, teachers would make so much money. Well, so much more money. Not so much money. We'd be, like, solidly middle class, which is what we should be. I'm not saying teachers need to be, like, the new upper class, the line between the super rich and the regular rich is teacher. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, nurse pay, not doctor pay, just nurse pay. I'd be more than happy with nurse pay. Anyway, we don't get anything near it. Yeah, and that's the whole thing. So, oh, and guess what? If you have a teacher friend and you think that what I was saying earlier about, like, we don't get paid year round, if you're like, but they get checks in the summer, it's like, yeah, because we, boom, there we go. Because we sign contracts that say, pay me a little less every month so that you can also pay me over the summer. We don't get that. Like, we don't get regular paychecks over the summer. We get a balloon payment at the end of the school year to cover what we need over the summer. And our paychecks are deducted same as usual to make up for, and then paid back over the summer, but as a balloon payment right at the very beginning of the summer. Anyway, so yeah, that's how my life works as a teacher. Slightly different, but similar idea that, like, you're not being paid for what you do over the summer times. So my wife and I are working very hard this week, and we're working on our bedroom. So it's the last room in the house that we need to do this on. We had it was the first room in the house that we were like, we need to change this flooring. This is not working, because we had carpet. We had carpeting, and it was just it was no good. It was not a good idea. Come on, man. Boom. Okay. So yeah, we had this carpeting in our room that our male cat peed on when he was upset about us getting our second cat, who is now dead, unfortunately. Anyway, so our carpet had been peed on. We'd had a toilet leak onto it. So it was not in good shape. Our carpet definitely needed to be ripped out. It had not been. We at least cut it to look at what the subfloor was, and we're like, oh, it's concrete, so we could do laminate flooring on top. We could do tile. We could do whatever we want. We decided to go with laminate flooring. And so yeah, we so the fun thing is, we decided hey, let's do this in every room in the house. So a couple summers ago, we did every room in the house except for our bedroom. Because you don't want to move all the crap out of the room that you live in. And so now we are in exactly that predicament. We've been sleeping on a bare mattress on the floor in our bedroom as we paint the walls, which were this noxious pinkish orangish color, just a terrible eyesore of a color, just god awful, a pinkish orangish, but in a southwestern type hue, the people who are oh, I love the American Southwest, those kind of people, they're kind of a hue. Anyway, so yeah, we finally got to paint over that. We finally got to put in some decent flooring in our bedroom, and but we were having struggles, because we did all the other rooms in our house, and it went in fine, and then all of a sudden oh god, hit Q. All of a sudden, when we were doing our own room, we were having all these troubles, and we were chipping boards, and we were getting really frustrated because when we did the other rooms in the house, we ordered a lot of extra, just knowing that we'd eventually do our room, and that whatever extra we had, we could just take and put towards, doing the floor for our room. But yeah, this time around, we didn't order a lot of extra, because we're we don't want to have just a bunch of extra boxes of laminate flooring just kicking around the house. You want to just floor it and be done with it, And so that was the plan. That was the planifer stanifer. And yeah, that ooh, hey now. You're the one who's an all-star. Anyway. So yeah, we start having troubles, we start having struggles, and it is really, really frustrating. And especially because it started to make it look like we were not going to have enough boxes to finish. And these boxes of laminate boards, they are, oh, dang it, they are a special order item, special order only. What is this? Oh, God, don't walk into lava. That's rule number 1 of don't do that in Minecraft. Anyway, what is it? Dripstone. I see. So, oh, frick. Oh, friggity frack. Oh. Where'd he go? Come here, doofus. Come here, stupid. There we go. Okay. Might be getting into one of these new cavities that people are so uproared about. Oh, God. That was horrifying pitch blackness that I was not prepared for, but I guess you plug up all the lava in a place, and that's what happens. Anyway, we should explore that in the next episode of this show. But for now, I should stay in relatively safe places and talk about what the freak happened. Okay, so, Dingus, tell the stupid story. It's not even that fascinating. Just tell it. Okay, so my lovely wife and I getting very frustrated by this room not coming together. Like, it was, so we got the paint done, but it wasn't as perfect as we had wanted. The paint was like, we bought this Oops paint. We're like, oh my God, such a deal. Like, normally this 5-gallon bucket would cost $139, but we got it for like $30. Sometimes it pays sometimes it pays to get the Oops paint. Anyway, so yeah, we like that Oops paint. It's good. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 high. Anyway, so yeah, we got ourselves some of the whoopsie doodle paint, and like it was runny on top, and we couldn't get it to thicken. We're like, oh, somebody probably bought this and then thinned it out and then sold us a bucket full of like half thinned out paint that's gonna go on super crapularly. Eventually, like, we solved it and got it handled. Got it to where, actually, let's see, with the pointed dripstone, I want to see what's doable with dripstone. Block of dripstone is cool, though. That's an interesting block, at least. Alright, well, give me some dripstone. Maybe I'll do some dripstone racing stripes on the old casa. Anyhoozle. So yeah, like, working hard on this thing. The paint wasn't going on as smoothly as we wanted. So we got really sore and tired. And then paint was a hassle. And then we wanted to do the flooring. The flooring was being a hassle and pain in the butt, and like literally my wife was crying at one point. I was very frustrated, and that leads me to like what I've been meaning to talk about this whole time, which is I had a mental health episode. It was not a good time. Not a good time was had by all. 0 out of 10 stars. Would not do again. Yeah, really, really a pain in the butt kind of a situation for everybody. So yeah, like we're working on this floor, and it's being a pain in the butt, and we are like so just frustrated with it. Hello, horsies. I hope to have a saddle someday. Anyway, so we're just so frustrated with how things have gone, and woohoozle. Anyway, yeah, we're so frustrated already, and then like my son had this game, like he's always watching YouTubers play various video games, and so he probably saw YouTubers playing this game. It's like, oh, I really want to get this game. It was like, and it's not the kind of game that I've really seen him have an interest in before. And like, people can change and whatever. Like, tastes will change over time, especially with kids. But like, anywho's, it wasn't a game that I like really thought that he would enjoy that much. Um, and so I was a little dismissive of it at first, and I was like, "Bud, sorry, we are a working. Like, your parents are trying to get crap done around here, and it is not going well." And I told him, it was like, "I'm sorry, like, please don't come back to me with this today. It's not going to happen today. It's probably going to be a day, possibly two. Like, please don't come back at me with this today, because I'm not prepared to handle it, and by the time I'm ready to go to bed, you should already be in bed, because I'm going to be up late working. I'll give you a kiss goodnight at the end of the night, but like, I am going to be working for quite a while on this freaking room, because like, it's the last room of the house that we need to make improvements on." And he just kept coming in, because he would come into the room and he wouldn't say anything. He would just hold up his money, because he wants to pay me cash so that I will use my money to purchase via Steam account, because I very wisely do not have bank accounts linked to my kids' Steam accounts. Otherwise, I'd have no money left, and they would own every game on Steam. So yeah, that's why that's a thing. So he just keeps coming in holding up this money, and like, my wife and I are in the middle of very frustrated. We're both like, should we try this? See if that makes it any better? And then we tried, and then it didn't help. And then we're like, dang it, this is really frustrating. And my son came in for like the fourth time in a row, with not very much time passing in between these episodes. That I finally was like, I flipped out. Like, I totally flipped out on him, and I just started yelling and shouting curse words at him, which is not like shouting curse words. Like, I don't have a problem saying the filthy, foul, swear kind of words. Like, I don't have a problem with it. I don't say them on my YouTube, because like, I'm already getting videos marked as like, you can't post this, and this isn't right, and whatnot. And like, the music and the background of the video game that you're playing is owned by us, and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm already getting stuff like that, and I don't want to also have to deal with like, we're Facebook, and we heard that you dropped an F-bomb in the middle of your video. It'd be like, F-bomb, yeah, I did. And also because I don't swear at school, and the only people who claim to be viewers of my channel, though I know they are lying about it, are students. Like, so that is legitimately where that lies. Is that they are telling me lies. But the fact is, I don't want to be like, on the off chance that students actually do watch, I don't want to be like, using the kind of language that I tell them not to use in my presence at school. Not because I can't handle it at school, but because like, the rules. Rules is rules, mon frund. I didn't make the rules, but I will enforce them. They are not mine, but they are. I am paid to enforce them, quite frankly. And it is made very clear that that is a part of my job duties. Anyway, so yeah, that's why you don't hear me swearing on this channel. But like, yeah, I say curse words in my home. Like, that's not an issue. But like, I was hurling them at my son angrily. And what we tell our kids, because it's funny, my daughter is like hey, can I say curse words? And it's funny because what she's really asking is she wants to be rebellious, but it's not in her nature. And so she doesn't know how. And so she's literally asking for our permission for her to be rebellious. And it's like, either do it or don't do it. Like, if it's going to be rebellious, you need to chance the consequences. Like, you need to go into it not knowing what the outcome is going to be. So we're not going to tell you the outcome. Although, what's the outcome? We don't give a crap. She's dropped the F bomb in front of me, and I've been like, meh, who cares? Because she didn't drop it in anger towards me. And the thing that we tell our children all the time is that, like, swear words are just words. You know, they're words that people have feelings about. Oh, that's the new block. I see. So they're words that people have feelings about, and some people have some pretty strong feelings about. And so because people have strong feelings about them, like, they're just words. We don't have to be afraid of words. But what we do have to worry about is how the words that we use will impact other people. Like, that's worth worrying about. The words themselves, I don't care. Like, I really do not care about the words themselves. They're just words like any other words. They have origins, they have parts of speech, they are, recognizable English words. Just words, you know? But, like, if it's a word that could ruin someone's day, if it's a word that could get you fired from your job, like, that you better know, if you're going to go lobbing such words around, you better know, number one, these are two things we told them. Number one, know what the word means. Like, don't say words that you don't know the meaning of, because that has an impact on number two thing that you need to know. You need to know with reasonable certainty how it's going to impact the person who hears it. If you drop F-bombs at work all the time, like, chances are you are a person who knows that your boss doesn't care. Either that, or you're only doing it when the boss man isn't around. Like, that's how that is. Like, either the boss man doesn't care, or you're hiding it from the boss man because you know he does care. That's how that goes, and so and that's how it goes for all areas of life. Like, do your parents know that you swear? Well, if you do, then if they do, then it's probably because they don't really care about swearing that much, and you don't have to watch what you say around them. If they don't know, then chances are it's because you're acting like you don't do it in front of somebody who doesn't like it. That's how that goes. Anyway, and you don't have to be afraid of the words. The words in and of themselves aren't good or bad. They're just words. And you can use them in good ways. You can use them to tell hilarious jokes. You could use them to really ruin someone's day and make someone feel really bad. So you better know what you're doing if you're going to wield these verbal nunchucks at people, So yeah, that is a very important thing. Yeah, daughter wants to rebel. I don't know why I'm talking about that. The thing that I'm really getting after is, oh yeah, so I was yelling at my son and just laying into him for having the audacity to interrupt his parents who are working on a project, like clearly working on it, and are clearly frustrated by it. Like, if he were reading the room, then he would not have asked, but he clearly did not read the room. And, like, anyway, so I was so mad, but then, like, I was like, okay, give me the money. I take the money, and he's crying, like he is bawling. I take his money, and I go in the computer room, and I'm like, I gotta do this crap, except I didn't say crap, and saying a lot of other swear words besides, and and just being really angry, and it's making him cry, so he's not having a happy time when he's asking me to buy him a video game that he can afford with money that he has so diligently saved. Like, he is really good at saving his money, and he should be proud of that, and I should be proud that I have a kid who knows about saving his money. Like, like, this should have gone differently. This is what I'm saying. And in fact would have gone differently. Oh, hello. Yeah, would have gone differently if I had been medicated. And that turned out to be the problem. So I come into the computer room, I make him cry, I buy him the game, and my wife is like, you need to stop. And I'm like, I know I need to stop. I'm just doing this because I know this needs to be done, the buying him the game. And then, but I knew I needed to get out of there because I was being an asshole, which is a word that I've used more and more lately, because it appropriately describes myself. And also I find the fact that, like, on television you can say ass but you can't say hole. That's ridiculous. That's a stupid thing. Like, you think we know about one but not the other. Like, oh yeah, there's asses out there but they don't have any holes in them. Anyway, it's stupid. It's absolutely stupid that, like, the word ass on TV, say it all you want. Put a hole on the end of it? No, that's obscene. Like, it's ridiculous. Just random arbitrary rules of people deciding that we should be afraid of words that we're probably all pretty well not afraid of. Anyway, so yeah, like, I am just being the worst. To my son, who is innocently asked for something but did it while not reading the room, and at a time when I was very frustrated by something that had nothing to do with him, but he should have known, because he should have read the room and known when I told him that, like, hey, it's going to be a couple days, that it probably would. Like, I still intended to do it for him, but, like, not right then. And I told him a couple days to give myself a buffer so that I could hopefully do it before a couple days had passed, but, like, set it up so that if I didn't make that deadline, that it wouldn't be a complete disappointment, because at that point I was like, I'm going to be working on this floor for the rest of my life. As it turned out, it was a simple thing we forgot, and as it turned out, the right tool makes all the difference in the world. For those of you who've done any sort of working with tools in your life, you know that is true. Like, you can't use a wrench to do a pliers job. You can't use pliers to do a wrench's job. Like, that's just basic stuff. I mean, technically you can, but you're going to destroy whatever you're working with. You're going to, like, pliers a bolt and, like, strip it out. Or you're going to wrench something that you should be grabbing with a pair of pliers, and it's going to, like, cut it up in ways that pliers would not have. Anyway, yeah, right tool for the job. Very important. Anyway, I'm wasting so much time. I need to finish and go to bed. So yeah, like, eventually we got it together, but, like, and it was fine. But in the meantime, like, I was a total ass to my son. I was terrible to a kid who did not deserve my wrath. Like, got my wrath and did not deserve it. And so, like, I was really frustrated at the time, and I decided, like, I need to leave this house, because I am recognizing, and this is the important thing, I am recognizing that I am being irrational right now. and it's funny because like my wife has this, like she's finding out what like how to sense my, not my triggers, but like the red flags of like, oh, this is not him normal, this is him unmedicated. And because like, yeah, I'm a very habit driven person, and because like all of our stuff is now all over the house because we are working on our bedroom, and so my pills are not in the same location that they normally are in. I forgot to take a pill and was not medicated. And when I'm not medicated, like there are days when I'm not medicated and nothing really frustrating happens and I'm fine. But it's those times when something makes me anxious or frustrated, um, and I get really like just uncontrollably angry at things for like no reason. I can't explain where it's coming from or anything. I just know that I'm angry all of a sudden. And the doctor was like, yeah, in men, like anxiety and depression, well, depression often comes out. The physical manifestation in a man is anger. And, the one good thing I'll say about myself with my stupid depression based anger, which makes me mad because I'm otherwise a very mild mannered person, is really is like mild mannered Bruce Banner and the friggin' Hulk. Like it really is. In so many ways, like I could tell you stories in which I do not come out sounding like the good person in the story, is because I'm not. Because when I'm not medicated, I am not. I'm not good. Like, why you think I need the medication? And it's just like any other medication. Like, I know people who are like, I used to hang out with a guy who his little brother would hang out with us too, and his little brother was like severely diabetic, and like if he didn't have his medicine and if he wasn't eating the right kind of things at the right time of day, like he was touch and go. Like is what it seemed like. It was bad, and so he had to take his medication to make sure that because like we were terrified. You don't want to be like responsible for someone else's life to that degree all of a sudden, where it feels like, oh God, I gotta help this guy snap into a Slim Jim, otherwise like he's a goner. Is what it felt like at the time. I don't know enough about diabetes, which is unfortunate. Well, I mean, I am not currently at risk, thank you very much, as far as I know. But yeah, it does run in my family, and so like I should know more about it. But yeah. Anyway, regardless, um, yeah, dude had serious health issue that he had to address through medication. And if he didn't have his medication, there's a pain in the neck for everybody. So like, yeah, it's like that. Sometimes that's what it's like. If you're an epileptic and you don't take your medication regularly, guess what? It's going to be a pain for everybody else. Like, it's going to scare the crap out of them. Even if it's a thing where it's like, oh, he's fine. We just shake it out and we'll, make sure the doctor knows. And, like, it's not that big of a deal. He does it from time to time. Like, if you live with epilepsy, that it starts seeming like less and less of a big deal, but to people around you, or the people that see it for the first time physically manifested, they're like, oh my God. Like, I thought I was gonna watch your spirit leave your body. Like, it's scary. So like in the same way, mental illness presenting itself can be scary in a similar way. And like, guess what? Not everybody is perfect at taking their medicine all the time. We try. Like, I don't want to be a guy who owns one of those day of the week pill cases. I have one. I have one. Why? I have one. Why? Because I care about, like, especially my students who have to put up with it and my family who have to put up with it. Those are the people who have to put up with it the most if I am not medicated. Like, and some of my students, the ones who graduated this last year who knew me for a long time, they could tell there'd be mornings they'd come in and they'd be like, oh no, this guy forgot his pill. And I'd be like, yes, I forgot my pill. And I won't be able to get it till after third hour. So, like, buckle up. It's going to be a rough time. Yeah. So I had an episode, and here's what was different about it. Okay. So I left the house and I walked to California. That has become a thing that I do. So okay, that happened. Um but like before I even got to California, I had my mind set. I was like, okay, I'm going to go to my son. I'm going to give him his money back even though I bought him the game. And give his money back because no kid should be forced to pay for a game that they got yelled at for like asking for at a time that the parent was like, this is not convenient for me, therefore I will make you cry. Like, nope, that's a free game on me. It was only $5 or something on Steam, so it's not like we're talking AAA big budget game. Anyway, so yeah, that was number one. Number two is that, like, the night before, my son had complained that I didn't read Harry Potter because I was working on my room and I was so tired, and I was so tired, dude. I'm sorry. Like, we're on the last Harry Potter book, and he really wants to read it because he's been watching the movies, and he really wants to see the last Harry Potter movies. Anyway, so yeah, like we needed to read Harry Potter, and so before I even got to the California state line, which is not really that far, because we live really close to the California border. But yeah, like before I even got there, I had already decided how I was gonna make it right with him, what I was gonna say, how I was gonna apologize to everybody. Like, I already knew how that was gonna go down. But I still walked to California because I was like, nope, we need to make sure that the drugs have kicked in by the time we get back. Like, we need for there to be no doubt that the drugs are working and that dad is not going to freak out, you know, uh, that he's not going to yell for no reason, because that's important for kids to know that they have any amount of stability. I feel so bad for my children having to be raised by a parent who has any amount of mental illness, even though it's like it is the axolotl of mental illnesses. Everybody be getting it, like, it's so common now. But yeah, like, even though it's a common and easily treatable mental illness, is still like not great for the kids to have to see that. But on the other hand, like, I was able to talk to him and be like, hey buddy, like, this is what it's like. I need you to know that, like, there are going to be times where I do not mean what I say, because I am not in my right mind and things are not good in my brain. And I know that that is scary and feels like, as a kid, you just want security. You just want to feel secure, like your position in the world is good. Like that you don't have to worry about things that adults worry about. That's what kids want, is just to be carefree kids. And so like if you have a parent who might flip out and fly off the handle for no freaking reason at all, unexpectedly, that is a problem that you shouldn't have to deal with. 'Cause you're just a kid, and it takes away from the from the carefree joy of being a child in the first place. Like that's just that is how that is. Anyway, so yeah, I came back. I apologized to my son. Read Harry Potter. That was fine. So like, it turns out fine. But like, while I was freaking out, not having the world's finest of times, it I was trying to cope, trying to feel my way out of the situation. Been like in my mind, how are we gonna not feel this way anymore? Because like obviously the medication will kick in at some point, but like how do we make it so that this is not what's going on is not what will be going on. So yeah, these are my concerns. Anyway, the thing that I came to, where is he? Oh geez, that's terrifying. It came up in a different spot. But like, I thought about something that Adam Savage said. And he was talking about, like, Adam Savage of Mythbusters. If you don't know who I'm talking about, you probably know who I'm talking about. If you're listening to this, because you're me. You're my audience. Me recording this, and also my wife listening to me listen to this the day after. Anyway, so, yeah, Adam Savage of Mythbusters was, like, he does this YouTube, he has a YouTube channel. It's really cool. And he will answer questions from fans, which is really nice of him, because he's still like, Mythbusters is a show that like the fan base will never die. Like they could 100 years from now, when like they haven't made a new episode in 97 and a half years, like, or however long it's been since they last made an episode. There will still be a very loyal and very dedicated fan base. It'll be its own new religion, and I will be fine with it, because it'll be a religion based on skepticism and critical thinking, and the scientific method, but also pyromania. Like, that's Mythbusters. We like the scientific method, especially the parts about pyromania. Anyway, so here's what Adam Savage said. He said that he was having to do this stunt that he was terrified of. He was absolutely terrified of what the stunt would be, how it would go. And he was having to face one of his fears, heights, water, snakes, whatever. I don't think it's any of those. I forget what the stunt was. But how he got himself into a mindset where he could do it was that he imagined himself in the future. And he said to himself, like, okay, there's a time in the future where I have already done this, where this is over, where I am sitting and ruminating on what it was like to be the version of me that had not yet done this. but now I've done it. And so it's over in the future. You stop thinking about time as merely linear and start thinking about, like, no, you're going to be the same person in the future that you are right now. And so time travel a little bit in your brain, because that same version of you that is sitting here fretting about what's going to happen is going to be the same you that has already done the thing that you're so worried about, or has already made it through the struggle that you're trying to make it through, or has already overcome the problem that you're trying to overcome. And you can use it in so many ways. Like, and I found it so fantastically helpful as I was walking and, going through a proper mental health struggle. Um, it was very similar to the one that prompted me to get medicated in the first place. But ultimately not the same, because uh, the one um, the one that caused me to want to get medicated, I went out, like, I destroyed something I cared about in front of my children, cursing and yelling like a crazy person the whole time. And then I, you know, so I did that terrible thing and scared my children and made them wonder about my health and well-being. Um, it's just not, once again, not a thing that a child should have to worry about with a parent, but unfortunately a thing that some children have to worry about with a parent. Um, and so, yeah, this whole fun problem. Um, yeah, but so that first time, like, that I had the freak out, like, destroyed something, yelled, freaked out. Children were like front row witnesses to it. And by the time I got back, they were already asleep. They were out. I did not really get the chance to talk to them about it. I don't know if I did take the chance to talk to them about it, and make up with them for a while afterward, and so, like, this one, I was able to go to my son that same day and be like, hey, buddy, I am sorry. Like, I am sorry that it went the way that it did, and I need you to know that things I was saying, um, I do not mean those things, because that was me unmedicated. That was me, like, experiencing mental illness. And what mental illness is a breakdown of you. It's a breakdown of who you are. And and getting the medication is making you who you actually are. It's not changing the nature of you. It's making it possible so that you can be you. Because if, with medication is a person that people actually want to love and know and care about, and without medication is a person that no one wants to love, know, or care about, uh, including the person themselves, like, then obviously the medicated version is the one to go with. Like, even if you want to get into arguments about, like, well, is that the real you? Well, if the real me, however you want to conceptualize it, if the real me is an asshole, then, like, let's take the fake me because it's better, you know? Like, who's not taking that? Like, who is not accepting that as a valid way to be? Anyway, I'm just wandering pointlessly now. So yeah, this time I was able to apologize to my children. I apologized to my wife, who, like, felt better, you know, like, felt better about my situation and was able to say, like, hey, you recognized the problem as it was happening, and was openly looking for healthy mindsets as a way to cope. And you immediately took your medication because you recognized immediately that that's what it was. And she's like, and I recognize because I always say these things like, I'm running out of time. I'm going to be dead soon. And like, the summer's almost over and time. When she hears me like freak out about time, then she knows that, like, hey, stupid, did you take your medication? And most often I have. I've been really good about being on my medication. But like when you change my routine by spreading my stuff all over the house so that we can paint and refloor our bedroom, and all of the attendant little side projects that come with all of that, like we just got our bed put together today. We still don't have all our stuff in, but the floor is done. We finally finished that today. The painting was done a couple days ago. This has been all week long that I've been sleeping on the floor, in my own house. And it wasn't fun, It didn't feel like an adventure. It felt like a punishment, you know. And so even though I wasn't being punished, it just felt that way. And so like, yeah, kind of a funk, kind of a not great week. But like my wife was appreciative of the fact that I recognized what is real and what is not. Because like one of the problems with mental illness is that you feel the way that things feel now are the way that they're going to feel forever. That's the lie that mental illness tells you. Is that like, hey, how it feels right now is how it's always going to be. The biggest lie that mental illness tells you. And depression and anxiety are really big and really bad that way. Anyway, so yeah, that's how I was feeling. And I'll tell you, like, things are better. We finished our room. We were happy and smiling today, even through all of the work that we had to do. We were able to enjoy it. We were able to enjoy each other's company, even though we were sore and tired and whatnot, and had seen the worst of each other this week, like the smelliest, unshoweredest, least presentable, least fun to be around versions of ourselves we had out on display this week. Still though, absolutely worth it in the end. We got done what we needed to get done, and we're feeling good about it now, and that's good. It's so very important. My wife is lovely, and we do projects well together, and we really appreciate each other when we're doing projects. It's a really good couples thing. Like, do a project together, be united in a common goal, like install a new toilet. It's not that hard. It's gross, but it's not that hard. If you're doing it together, it makes the experience better. We need to install a new toilet because ours got more broken. I've been flushing it with a stick, lifting up because the flapper arm broke off of the plunger lifter, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole mess. The internals of that toilet are now broken, and they never worked that well to begin with. And I know that you could just rejuvenate it, but it is an older toilet. It is not a low flow. And quite frankly, like, I know that certain former presidents of ours were like, low flow toilets, you can't get anything to flush. And it's like, yeah, it's because you live on a diet of Diet Coke and KFC. Like, yours won't flush. Like, yours wouldn't flush with a freaking plunger and an army boot to stomping it. Anyway, regardless, fact is, yeah, like our low flow toilet flushes like a dream because they figured out how to use the water more efficiently. And so we actually get more flushing power out of it than we get out of our older toilets. And I don't know if that's going to be true for everybody in every case, but it's certainly true of us in our case. Anyway, so yeah, we work well together as a team. And ultimately we I was about to say chnah. We come off victorious. We win. We vanquish. Chnah. The Cambodian word. Oh goodness. Anyway, yeah, let me just read you the 2 Instagram posts that I made. And I know that sounds stupid, it sounds so very like juvenile that like I was having a mental health episode and then I walked to California and I posted on Instagram twice. Like I know that I sound like an idiot when I explain it that way. Like I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I sound like an idiot. I'm trying not to. It is not working. But anyway, I posted on my Instagram because like it's the only forum I have left that I can like post in and be like, "Hey, I'm posty bits." I forgot about this business. Anyway, I have to remember that that exists. Anyway, people. Oh, I don't want to have that open anymore. So, yeah, post 2 things on Instagram while I was having my mental illness freak out. And I'll read them for you. And so you get a feel for how, like, much better this was coped with than previous ones were. Because yeah, like by the end of the night, I apologized to my son. He accepted my apology. He gave me a hug. Um, I made further promises to him that I have thus far kept. Still have some that I need to keep, but needed to finish putting the room together first. And I told him that would be, it would be contingent upon that. So promises of things that we need to do before the end of the summer. So yeah, you know, like trying to be a good dad, trying to do what I can to be a good father. It's not always easy. Mental illness gets on the wire. Like, yeah, this is lumpy space princess. But no, it does. It's kind of a problem sometimes, and this week it was, and so I'm happy that like the week is coming to an end in every way possible. That like it's gonna be done, and then the school year is gonna start, and then it's gonna be a different ball game again. It's gonna be finding out how to do everything again. Like a teacher's gonna have to learn how to teach again. Students gonna have to learn how to student again. Um, Everything's gonna be different than it was last time we did it. And thank goodness that it will be. Anyway, let me read you these Instagram posts so that would be out of your hair. Thanks, me. This string's too freaking long, and I'm sorry that I stayed up this late, my love. But these are things that I need to get off my chest, and I'm sorry that I droned on for so long about them. You are my lovely wife, and I love you very much. Okay, let me finish. Haha. Posted another one today that is not related to anything. It was just funny. Okay. Here's what I posted first, and I disabled comments on it because I didn't want people to be like, "No, you're not." I didn't want to sound like I was fishing for compliments because I literally and really and actually felt this way about myself as I was walking out. So here it's a, yeah, Instagram posts. All my Instagrams are out of focus, blurry, uninteresting objects that you can't tell what it is, that kind of stuff. And so it's just a bunch of dirt and rocks. but not a particularly interesting patch thereof, and no signs of life on it whatsoever. So it's a fun picture. And it says, I am now and have always been a terrible person. Any goodness you think you have seen was merely a clever ruse on my part and can be used as greater evidence of my terribleness. And I really felt that. I'm like, no, no, my nature is bad. I am a bad person. My nature is bad. I do bad things. I will continue to do bad things into the future because I'm a bad person. That's who I am. And anything good that I've ever done was a lie. And was, doubly worse because I was covering up for how truly awful I really and truly am. Like that's how I really felt about myself. Welcome to, like, it's not fun coping with depression, and quite frankly I think this is something that a lot of grown men deal with, and because grown men don't like talking about their feelings, like, we don't like talking about this stuff because it makes you feel like a teenage girl. When you're like, no, I don't like myself. Like, that's not the kind of thing that we in society have built up as an expectation for what men talk about. Like, if a teenage girl said that, you'd be like, well, of course you don't. You're a stupid teenage girl. Ha 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 ha. In your face. Someday you will wish that you will be as ugly as you think you are now. Like, stuff like that. And you don't want to be a grown man and feel that way, especially heterosexual men. You're so like, I don't want to be emasculated. Like, oh God. Anyway, so yeah, I literally really felt like I'm a terrible person, and you could have stopped me at the time, and you could have said like, hey, what about your friends who care about you and who say that you're a wonderful person? I'd be like, they're lying and they don't know the real me, And, great job. And you could have been like, all right, Captain Stupid. Well, what about your lovely wife who married you? Oh, she didn't know what she was getting into. She didn't know how bad it was going to be. She'd be better off them. Like, your brain is not working right. That is what mental illness means. But yeah, you could have given me evidence of like, no, you're not actually a terrible person. You could be trying to give me evidence that I'm just an average person with the average amount of flaws, and I would still be like, no, that's too good for what a piece of crap I am, is how I felt. And the problem with mental illness is it makes you feel that way, and it makes you feel like, number one, that you have always secretly felt that way, even though you know that you haven't always felt that way. You feel like that has been the secret undercurrent, and you feel like you're gonna feel like that forever now, and you feel like that now it's right. That, it would have been wrong to classify yourself as a terrible person before because you weren't feeling it, but now you're feeling it, and you know that it's factually accurate. That's what it feels like. This is what it literally feels like, and it's stupid, and it's emasculating in all the ways that it is, which is why a lot of men aren't going to deal with it. Anyway, here is the second thing that I posted on the way back, because I walked all the way to California. I wandered in the wilderness a little bit in California. For a bit, I felt like people in cars were trying to, like, be like, hey, do you want to ride home? I felt like people were going to be like that, and I didn't want to have to explain, like, no, I am out here because I need to be. Is a problem with my brain. So yeah, I didn't want to have to encounter people at all, and there were a couple of times where I thought I would have to encounter people, so I was wandering a little bit, and then eventually I ended up at the post office in the very small town on the other side of the California border. Um, and cooled myself off there. I was very tired, and not take water with me, and so I was very dehydrated. You scared me, sheep. Now you're gonna die. Sorry, sheep. Is that you scared me? I was gonna live and let live, but then you bawed right in my face. Did you just replenish yourself just now? Daggum. Anyway, I don't feel so bad about killing you. But yeah, you feel terrible, and then you feel like this is how it has always been, and this is how it must always be. And that's not a fun way to feel. Nobody ought to feel that way, but it's how you do feel. And yeah, that's the first part of the problem. But eventually, like, you can come to the solution. You can realize that, like, okay, there is a version of me that is already on the other side of this. As a matter of fact, most versions of me are on the other side. The versions of me that I will get to know in the future, not versions of me that I will reminisce about in the past necessarily. Perhaps, I don't know, but like, yeah, versions of me in the future will have already been through this and will be fine. So I'm gonna be okay eventually. Uh, it's such a healthy way of looking at it. So this is what or not tweeted. I keep wanting to say tweet. Instagrammed on the way back town. Let's mental illness all the way to California, said the medication deficient brain. You are such a self-centered asshole, said the feet on the way back to town. So tired, so dehydrated, and whatnot. I had my phone on me, so if I was in like real serious danger, if I started getting woozy and whatnot, I was gonna call my wife. But like, I kept hitting milestones that I was like, oh, it's not that far, and then I'd hit another one and be like, oh, right, I have to pass this first. It's not that far, you know. Did that a few times, so that's why I never called. But when I got back, I was pretty dehydrated. But I read Harry Potter to my kids. I apologized to my son. We hugged. I already told you that, but like that's and then I apologized to my wife. And we had a good long talk about feelings. Because that's my jam. Let's talk about feelings. This is honestly what I do these Minecraft episodes for half the time. Anyway, people, yeah, that's what it is. That is what it is. So people, yeah, this is gonna be it for me. Just remember, it's not always gonna be like that. God damn it, it's gonna be 3 hours. Holy crap a moly. Anyway, it's not always gonna be like that. Like how it is right now, it's not always gonna be like that. It won't. It can't. It can't possibly. Yeah. Look at you, Robin Roberts. Look at you, Amber Lagan. Anyway, infinite regression. Look, buddy. Your death lurks in here somewhere in this infinite regression. Of course it does. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. Like, you're going to get there eventually. Like, no rush. Um, Pain and sorrow along the way? Yeah, definitely. Definitely. But, like, for every bit of these things that you regress toward infinity, like, there is a version of you that has already overcome, that is already at the finish line, that is already drinking the Gatorade and cooling down. You know, it is. It's very encouraging, and I know that it's a very trite sort of like, well, duh, of course there is kind of an idea, but it was very profound and helpful for me. And so, that being the case, what do you mean is this picture? Oh, it's my Rem Pemberton. Yeah. So, yeah, it's tremendously helpful. Has been tremendously helpful for me. So, I knock it if you want to. Tell me that it's a simplistic idea and that my brain should be impressed by much more complicated solutions to a complicated problem. Okay, yeah, give them to me. I'll read this study. Like, I'm good at it. I can read studies quick. But anyway, people, I've been up way too late and I need to get to bed. But like, take care of yourself. There's a version of you that's already made it past all of the things. So you don't need to be afraid, because you're strong enough. You are strong enough for what you have to face down. And it's not always going to feel that way, but it's true. Anyway, people, you are great. I say that knowing that I'm going to be the one listening to this. Hey, buddy, you're great. Like, just keep keep the bow of the ship pointed in the right direction. Some winds are for, some winds are against. So way it's gonna be on a turbulent ocean, but keep the bow pointed in the right way. Bow's the front part, right? It is, I know, because I was a bowman when we were whitewater canoeing with my dad. It's a fun memory. Anyway, regardless, fact is, people, life can be wonderful. It can be infinite regression or no. Like, this thing is terrifying to stare at. But like, hey, life is good. Because underneath all of it, you know what there is. You dig deep enough, you know what you're gonna find. You know what you're gonna find. You're gonna find a picture of Fiona and cake, and that's pretty happy. So let's not get all terrified of mortality when there's a nice picture of Fiona and cake. They look like they're having fun. Good for them. Anyway, all right, people. I will see you in the next one. That's it for this one. Okay, bye.